right. I think you may have heard me mumble. I know I had some more references. I was looking at my talk notes. I forgot I actually had a slide where I threw on just a couple of samples, of God's intention for us. And one of the beauties about and complexities about how the Bible is written is I want to go on this nuance, because when we think about action and call, in Galatians, it talks about love, joy, peace, patient, kindness, goodness, faithfulness. Feeling love, joy, and peace is something you do, in effect, on an inner basis. That is something I feel joy. I can't make Colby feel joy. I might be happy if I give him a pastry or something, but joy, the joy of your heart and peace of your heart comes from your insides. Kindness is the action that may come from good, but it's actually something we would do. And that is the exemplification of something, but it's an action. And so we focused here, and I threw them on the bottom. What are the things that simply God may want us to do those actions, and we'll get there, but when we wake up in the morning, how do we want to feel if we're living in His love? Well, what would be better than to have a peace of heart, to feel loved, to know with the lessons learned that we go through our day, with the strength that He has given us, to have hope for everything we do and live in a state of feeling loved with joy and a peace of heart. Now, is that a pretty good day?
Yeah.
It's not a trick question, guys, gals. That's a great day. And you guys, I cannot tell you how excited I am that you guys are getting this now, at what I'll call your age, because you can carry this on in your whole life. All right, and we might have to move that. But either way, now let's go into our own natures. So we've got a blank board. So I will look for, you want to be scribe?
Again. Enjoyed it, so.
You enjoy it. Okay, and if that thing flies off the wall, we'll stick it in another part of the wall. Maybe stick it in the back corner. Would one of you guys be kind enough to just peel that thing off and stick it back there? So it doesn't flop, 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 and eventually just end up on the floor. Most of us read left to right anyway, since we're going left to right. Let's stick it on the far left. All right, well, God has a wonderful plan from us, but sadly enough, we have our own natures. And they don't always help. So what are the obstacles that we put in front of ourselves? And without looking it up, does anybody have a great definition for sloth? That word always cracked me up. Yep. Yeah, laziness is the closest synonym. But the definition, I figured if you want to bring sloth back and kind of not do a lot, somebody who never cleans, get caught on this thing and realize that 45 minutes is gone running through reels or whatever gobbledygook, and you go, well, I had a whole bunch of stuff I was going to do and I wasn't engaged with my friends, but wow, I just never got my rear end off the couch. Yeesh. We have a sloth induction machine built into these things. And so let's think about what are the things that get in our way. All right. Well, obviously the headline is ourselves, but there are certain qualities that we have. Generally speaking, we could write self right on the top in small letters because we can come up with a bigger list.
Small letters on the top.
Yeah. Okay, it's our self. We took a bite of a tree of knowledge, and we got ourselves knowledge that really was not helpful for living a righteous life. Inclinations, things that were wired, however you want to describe it. So I picked a couple, Galatians 5:20. Here's some really, I in my other place I'll say, what's your favorite passage? Well, there's no such thing as a favorite passage for horrible character traits. So I simply say noteworthy. All right? So we can, immorality, idolatry, strife, sloth. What are some of the things that really get in the way? And of course, there's the 7 deadly sins or whatever that all have biblical references. What are some of the ones? Not, again, a trick question. Pride. Let's put pride up there. Yeah, that can be problematic. All right, what else?
In Proverbs 6, like 17 through 19, has the list of all things that God hates. And
Pick some favorites.
Yeah.
Excuse me, noteworthy. Nothing's favorite about a bad habit.
a heart that devises wicked imaginations.
6 what?
6:18.
What was it? Wicked.
A heart that devises wicked imaginations.
Ooh, deviousness. That's a really articulate way, I believe, describing being devious. Coming up with wicked aspirations for others.
Is it? It's close enough.
In vernacular English, I would just call it, wicked planning, self-centered, out for you. You know the old the flip a coin thing, heads I win, tails you lose. All right, that doesn't work. Okay, so we have deviousness, pride. Is that the only character qualities that man has that are bad? Come on, guys, gals. All right, so we have idolatry, which would be driven by lust.
I don't know what the verse is, but I can't remember what the verse talks about. There's a verse I'm thinking of, but I don't know how to explain it because I don't remember what the verse is.
Well,
But
go.
it's kind of like quarrel with your brother. Vision. There we go. That's the word I was thinking.
All right. Well, let's go back to we got your idolatry, jealousy, envy, unmanaged anger. That's our Galatians. Let's start and get some on the list.
I'm gonna write those down.
Yeah, write them down. If they got to go on there before they go on the flip chart paper.
We got Ephesians 4. It talks about all the creating new life and putting off your old self and all your old ways. So it's like the put offs and
Yep.
put ons.
What are some of the old ways we really need to be rid of? Pick a few leaders of the parade.
I like bitterness, wrath, no longer steal, corruption.
Yep, we got wrath.
What was it? What was the verse?
It's Ephesians 4.
9 through 30.
Ooh, 29 through 30. I'll bet there's a lot in there then.
Things we haven't said. Deceitful. God haters.
What's this?
Procrastination.
God haters.
God haters, procrastination. Oh,
Is procrastination in that verse?
I think we're just talking about
Yeah,
what gets against God's plan. You can just put procrastination.
put procrastination up there. I'm going to try to get about 15 minutes a section for each of the next three. So I'm going to have to, yes. Greed, absolutely. But yeah, procrastination is a good one. All right? Who here has ever woken up and realized you've procrastinated like crazy? Yep, all hands, please. Yeah, that's kind of, there's only one real often victim to that, yourself.
If you want a verse, it's 1 Corinthians 14:40 talks about procrastination.
All right.
40.
Yep.
All right, but we've got pride.
Romans, the same Romans verse has murder, strife,
Yep.
gossips.
Ooh, gossip.
Gossip. Ooh, yes. The weaving of tales. The spreading of selective rumors. Yeah, that can make a mess out of things. All right, so we got the important. We got pride up there. We've got greed, which is kind of a cousin to envy. I think we got wrath up there, uncontrolled anger, sloth.
Strife.
Cracks me up with sloth. Lust we got covered. I think we got everything covered, but one sort of the major ones, and that's gluttony.
That says 1 Corinthians 14:40. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, it was small because I missed it. I don't even know.
All right, so these are things that are get in our way. And basically we come wired to become our own worst enemy. And it's very easy in life to let these things creep in ways you don't understand. It's very easy to look at that and go, I'm not deceitful, I won't do this, I won't do that. And then somehow or other you get caught up with other people, you get caught up in the social environment, you get caught up in the mores of you are. Not something necessarily you would have great risk here, but out in that other world, the one that's all around us, what groups of people will rationalize as okay? You'll see this as you get into the job world and the business world and the employee world. What people will rationalize is okay it's pretty shocking. It's very, very shocking what it will do. And so in effect, not only our natures get this in the way of who we want to be and what happens. Yeah, for some reason my laser thing went on and it won't come off.
I was so confused.
Yeah, I don't, it's not behaving well. I might have to take the batteries out or use a different one. Or I pressed the wrong button. I have no idea how to turn the laser off. Anybody know how one of these works? All right, I'm going to give it to Cooper. He says he's a tech guy. So figure out, and if you have to take the battery out and put it back on, that's fine.
It's his job.
It's his job. Okay. So we have one official resident nerd. Okay, good.
Always it forever.
Always it forever. Once a nerd, always a nerd. Get that. So these are the things that get in our way from achieving the peace of heart, the joy in the Lord. Because when we fall into this, and you will be tempted with this, it is going to happen in your lifetime. Small ways. Evil has a way of creeping in the least expected ways around. And when you do, then you get a special gift. Regret, guilt, resentment for situations. Maybe if I wrong somebody over here, I don't know your name.
Lauren.
I wrong Lauren and I don't properly address and apologize and right that wrong, then am I going to be really comfortable? Do I know how she may react to me, even if it wasn't intentional? Do you want to carry? If you're not careful, you end up with a bag full of rocks in here and a bag full of rocks in here and a brick on your shoulder from little things here that our nature will drive us to that'll keep us from God's plan for us.
Would sexual sin be one on here too?
What?
Sexual sin?
Yeah, immorality? Absolutely.
Oh, it's immorality, right?
Right there. Yay, immorality. Yeah, right there. Oh yeah. No, as I've said, and rabbit trail number 14 here or whatever, I come from a background of the business world, 44 years in the business world. And it's a little less blatant now, but the inter-office affairs were kind of uncomfortable. And how do you work with somebody who says, trust me, while they're having an affair on their spouse? It's like, well, if you can't be honest with your spouse, you sure in the world are not going to be honest with me. And that bizarre rationalization that you can demonstrate brutal distrust, violate, demonstrate your immorality, the whole bit, commit that, and then somehow think you should be trusted. And the number of people you will meet who will do things like this and somehow think that therefore, oh yeah, you can trust me. Don't worry about that. That's a rationalized thing over here. No, wrong. So we need to be aware to fight against this and put a barrier around this. Because believe it or not, the time that you have the hardest time often fighting with these is not in times of difficulty, although that'll drive you one direction, is sometimes when things are going the best. Because you don't think Well, I'm going great. I don't need God. I'm not thinking about God. Business is going well. My kids look good. Everything's great. And boy, then you put your foot in a cow pie the size of a trash can lid. Or you end up in a really horrible, stressful situation and you deal with it in a really bad way. And these are the things that are going to chase you for the rest of your life. So, okay, good handwriting. Let's take, and let's do another one, and we're going to talk about what's God's plan, and not that I'm about to take up a piece of your table. But could you write down, can you pull that chair back just a little bit, so what we think are the key ideas that are going to get in the way?
I put stars next to them.
Yeah, the things that really you think, boy, this is going to
I
get.
think that we all think.
Oh, you guys, don't worry about it. I'm not going to tell you what things are going to tempt you, because each of you will get tempted or distracted by different things in your life. There are areas as we get into behaviors, you're going to look at that list and go, hey man, that's no problem. This is me all day long. And you may look at another one and go, ooh, that's tough. And all of our lists will be different. We are all wired differently in that regard. Some of us have strengths, some of us have difficulties. But we all get some version of that list. And so if you could pick what you think are the key one, summarize it enough.
I'm in two. I don't want to be the only person choosing.
Okay, well, then, come on, help her out. We want something to go right next to that. Here's God's plan. Here's what we put in front of it.
Write a star.
Right.
There's nothing that shouldn't be on the list.
Yeah, well, I'm just thinking of how much to stuff on the paper. So maybe you short the sentences down a little bit.
Bitterness. Anger.
Yeah.
And we have lust, which kind of covers jealousy and envy.
Yeah.
Greed.
Oh, greed. Greed will drive people to craziness. Greed is a total.
Procrastination.
Yeah.
Rebellion.
Yeah, I'm not as bad. I am an artist at procrastination.
Just highlight on the list.
Okay, put it on that. And I'm going to take a slight rabbit trail, number 7, on greed. It is very much in our culture to get the idea that if you buy the new car, that's going to make you happy. The smell of Corinthian leather or the new Bose sound system is going to make you happy. The problem with that is it doesn't. So greed can have almost an addictive quality on people around you, and you have to really defend against it because it'll destroy people. Like, okay, if I get the nicer car, I'm going to be happy. Okay, that didn't work. Well, maybe if I work hard and work 60 hours a week at work and become a VP and get a bonus, well, that'll make me happy. Well, now I've got the bonus, so I bought the ski trip. Well, that'll make me happy. When you play Can You Top This against yourself with stuff, you always lose. The people around you will always lose. Because you cannot get joy, you cannot get inner peace from stuff.
Idolatry, Laddie.
Okay.
You cannot get that peace from stuff. And we're even kind of built that way. There's a Tal Shal-Bahir, I think is the author's name. It has the most popular courses at Harvard University, and it's about happiness. How do you do that? And he has all these different studies. And if you receive something, you feel good for about a day. If I do something good for you, I can feel good about that for a week. We're actually wired to give, not receive. What does our society do? Get. I need a new Samsung S28. I don't know why the new ones are any better than this thing, but somehow I'm a deficient human being if I don't buy the next one.
Camera's better.
Camera's better. At my age and eyesight, I can't tell the difference anyways. But yeah, you'll get there. You got glasses already. I didn't get mine till I was 40. Now I can't. Now when I take them off, I can't see anything. So.
Can we erase the board out?
Yeah, go ahead and erase the board. This is a short list, but this is one we'll want to take into account. Would you be kind enough to post this on that wall, just to the right? It doesn't have to be the same wall. You can do the 90-degree wall. So now we've established two things. First, go ahead to the right wall. First thing is, in the perfect world, without our natures, without the things that we put in our own way, either culturally or because of the wiring we got when we decided to take a bite of the tree of knowledge, we now see that if we can, that's our barrier to that. And what's our end game? Live the life God really had intended for us, that we are so good about messing up all by ourselves. Oh, you've got my controller.
Professional opinion is you need a new one. This one's done for.
Okay.
Did you print it? No,
There.
it's just, I'm letting it drain, but it's the buttons are done.
All right. So here we go. I want to back up with one. No. Nope, I got to figure out day 2. Why are you not going backwards? I'm not a big fan of swiping, but yep. Okay, good. Here we go. Well, I'm still getting used to having a mouse from hotkeys. I'm not. I wrote my first computer program in probably 1972. A number 2 pencil on cards with little dashes. It was actually written in the machine language in the BASIC. So you had to take BASIC and convert it into OOs, dashes and O's. Dashes and O's. I quickly concluded that was not what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. All right, so we say, all right, let's say we know God's plan for us. It's actually pretty good. We have seen now and identified some of the things that really get in our own way that we're going to need to figure out how to control, because evil, the devil, take it, our own natures, I don't care how you quantify it, those characteristics are going to come up and challenge us. So then the question becomes, all right, well, who should we be? Now I want to skip from how we feel on the inside to who should we be during this? All right, so Romans says, live a decent life that all can see. Live such a good life that all can see your deeds. What qualities? I like maybe 1 Timothy 3:1-10 when it talks about the qualities of a leader. If you think those are good ones. But we think, all right, you want to live a decent life. What does that mean? A good life. If we go back to those Venn diagrams, well, that can mean being honest. It can mean being truthful. It can be being a good spouse. It can be a good parent to your child. It can be a good thing. They're all overlapping. But we are driven then, have a decent life, that we are seen. And this is part of evangelism, which is where part of this comes through. But what are the qualities of a decent life? It's not a trick question. Go ahead and look up 1 Timothy 3:1-10 if you don't have a few of your own.
Faithful to his wife.
All right, that you would be faithful. Just put 1 Timothy and then we'll start writing down words, because there's a lot of words in there.
Timothy what?
1 Timothy 3.
Should I just say faithful in
Yeah,
general?
faithful.
Self-control.
Oh, yeah. And I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but we all know people that, whether they know better or not, sometimes quick to anger is really hard. Just really hard, not to snap back. That is a hard thing to control, but if we're going to have peace of heart, those are the things we need to learn to control. Yes, ma'am.
What does temperate mean?
Temperate, it basically means manage. So that temperate would be, I have my dinner, I'm not a glutton. I have a drink, I'm not a drunk. I speak to you for things that are important, but I don't yell in your face. And so temperate is, think of tempering things down. I believe that's how it's intended.
Is that how it's spelled?
What?
Temperance.
Temperance, that was a movement in early part of the last century. But, all right, other qualities?
Respectful.
Respectful. All right. I'm going to throw in one I like is loyal.
Righteousness? Or righteous?
Yep. And that actually covers a little bit of both. Because righteous is both kind of a state of being, but it also can be a call to action. What is a righteous act? Procrastination probably doesn't count as a righteous act. Helping to right a wrong would.
Hospitable.
Would hospitable be the same as kind?
It's kind.
It involves kindness.
Kindness. Hospitable, kindness, kind.
And hospital is like being open to being a friend to somebody.
Yeah.
Being open to bringing him into their home. Being open to.
Yep. You guys have been quiet back here.
Having your home as a hospital.
Can I pick on the back table here?
Yeah.
You got any things that pops out?
Grace. Being just like grace. Having grace for people.
Living in grace.
I like able to teach.
Ooh.
You
Ooh.
can teach someone, or you are teachable.
This is you
Okay.
can teach.
Actually,
But being teachable is also.
it's actually both, that coin, both sides are critically important. Because we should never stop learning, never stop seeing, never try and stop to understand. But also, we have a great mission. All right? Not a trick question. Our great commission is?
Go into all the world and preach the gospel. I didn't even thought that was good.
Boy, I'm glad I gave you guys a tough one for that.
So would that kind of fit under meekness? I mean,
No.
teachable is-
I think humble, because you can be strong and humble at the same time.
you can be strong in meekness too.
Forgiveness.
It said that Moses was the most meek man in the Bible. He was strong.
He was pretty strong.
So,
My,
Forgiveness.
calm of, well, James wasn't written yet, so we can't do the, long to listen, short to speak,
so meekness, yes or no?
Yeah, you go ahead, include it.
Is that
And then we're going to
different
wrap
or
up with a couple more because I want to get to the end, and then we'll take another break, and then we're going to put all the pieces together. Yes?
Acts 20:28 talks on practicing self-control. Pay careful attention to yourself and to all the flock, which the Holy Spirit has made you an overseer, to care for the church of God, which he obtained with his own blood.
What's that verse? Acts 20.
Acts 20.
Acts 22. Yeah, self-control. That's a toughie. I'll get into this later, but okay. Anybody ever engaged their mouth before brain? Yeah, clearly we hadn't read James 1:19 yet. I think that's the right verse for.
Worthy of respect.
Respect.
I think we have. I think
Respectful's up there.
already up there. We'll do one or two more, and then we're going to go.
Submissive.
That's a good one.
Honest.
You give yourself to God. You give yourself to the righteousness it gives you, but we are not submissive to the distractions of man. So we have that differentiation. Okay, I think we've got some good qualities here.
Patient.
Oh, patience. That can be a test.
I know. I like the other prisoners who got long suffering. It's very much more true.
Patience. Who just goes for joy when you have one thing to buy and the person in the 15 and under checkout line has two baskets?
Wait, what did you just say?
Who feels that joy in your heart when you have one thing at the grocery store and you're in the line with 15 or less items, the speed line, and the person in front of you has two full carts? Is that a test of patience? You say, I only have one item, and they look at you and you're like, well, I don't care.
My mom always says, try and pick the longest line and see if you can make it through.
That's where part.
Try.
Well,
I want to be the longest.
yeah, I'm good at that too. I always tell people, never get behind me in the grocery line. You'll be there till tomorrow.
We always have a problem with something.
But when you can train yourself to pray for the person in front of you instead of be irritated, it changes your entire way of viewing. You need to pray for them and feel for them. But that's part of it. Okay, so this is good stuff. Can we scribe that while I run into the next one? God, I am so happy I got this extra hour. I don't know how we would have done this in 2. Other than the fact that my pointer is...
You got an extra 15 minutes.
My pointer is DOA. So here, I'm going to have you go ahead and set up my backup. And I'll grab the fob out. I really won't need this till tomorrow. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about
Maddie.
our calls to action and gifts.
Generosity.
And so, in effect, there's two, as we look at this, and this is where, all right, you're scribing that. You still there? Okay. It's good to go. Do I get to go forward and backwards? Oh, wow. Magic. All right. Somebody nerdier than me. Awesome. So we think, all right, these are the kinds of things, and someone's going to write that down. We say, okay, well, we have actions. And there's 2 ways to look at actions. So the actions that we would actually need to do and become part of innate. And then there's proactive actions, because each of us has a gift and a calling, both, that we want to recognize. So I'm actually going to try to cram into 12 minutes 2 different topical sets. So could you grab 1 or 2 and then pass the rest back? Grab 1 or 2 and pass it. There might be enough for everybody. That was a 1-page thing. So you want to think, okay, and I want to make a real distinction here. We all know what John 14:6 says, right? Everybody know what John?
If you started, maybe.
There is only one way back to God. It is?
I'm the way, the truth, and life.
Yes, it is through faith. James 2:14 confuses people to no end, and has actually taken a couple of sects within the Christian universe and gotten them hung up on you have to do things to gain your grace. You actually have to do an action. And I'm going to differentiate that this is a totally misunderstood verse. It does not mean that my relationship with the Lord is a cash register. And that, if I do good deeds, because 2:14 says if you don't do some good deeds, your faith must be dead. Well, then I better go out and do something. All right, that's your faith being a cash register. But when you're imbued with the Holy Spirit, the amazing things that comes with it is the gifts you have will start to float forward, and you will feel inclined to go do something. You're not doing it because you expect return. You're not doing it because you expect glorification. You do it because you feel called. And all of you, if you keep of the Spirit, will feel called at times in your life. Is it amazing or what that you go to a church? I'm going to presume all of you have participated in church at some point. Probably a pretty naive question, but I'll take that one for granted. Somehow or other, when you put the church together, you get your group, and you find that there's some folks over here, you feel great, and you're really good with kids. Man, you love kids. The thought of you getting up in front of a group, you'd rather be shot. And there's somebody over here who's really good at organizing, setting up your materials, you're comfortable in front of a group, but if you put me in a group of 3-year-olds, I'd be in the corner like curled up in a ball. I wouldn't know what to do. I would need instruction, like a checklist or something, to know what to do with them. I'm petrified of a room full of toddlers. All right? Other people are good at organization. Other people are good at finance. Somehow or other, when you put the group together, the whole thing works. We all have gifts, we all have callings, but they're not all the same. There are certain things that are the same, the behaviors we do to fight our natures, and then there are the gifts we have you want to nurture and grow with and pull forward. And rabbit trail number 63, and I hope you don't mind if we go about 5 minutes over. Can I go about 5 minutes over without being hit with a stick? Okay. Believe it or not, when I was in high school to learn how to speak, because I was very I was not outgoing as a little kid. Probably hard for you to believe. So I thought, I'm going to join Model United Nations, because then you talk to people and you go do stuff. Did well, got invited to a conference, got in front of a group, about 800 kids, got up to the podium and froze solid. I did conclude that your hair can sweat. I felt it from the bottom of my feet to the top. I froze. I could not say a word. I could not move. Totally 100% frozen. And I said to myself, I got to figure out a way to get through this and have it never happen again. And I leaned into it, but I learned it. Turns out I did have a certain gift for chatting with people and teaching, but I had to break through my own barrier first. So just because you feel something or see something today, particularly at your age, doesn't mean it isn't there. You may just not know it yet. I did not really develop my total comfort level till 2003, whenever that was. How old was I? A lot. Because I'm 20 years ago, so I was 46 or 47. Somewhere in my late 40s is when I got up to the stage in the corporate world, and became the 1,000 people out there without fear. But it has then helped me teach. I think I taught mission consistent, ethical business practice to over 5,000 people between 03 and 09. Then in 09, the financial world blew up and they didn't use me anymore. But either way, when you look at this, let's put a line down the middle for a second.
Can we just leave this on here?
Oh, we can use that line right there. What do you know? The board came fully equipped with a line. All right. What I'd like you to think about is when we think of our call to action, there's two levels of it when we think we need to act. Can one of you be kind enough to put that up there? There's two levels of what we want to do. There are things from the standpoint of how we behave and interact with each other that if we are going to act in a righteous way that God has laid out for us, we simply need to behave in a certain way. Then there is a second layer of that says, okay, I get that, but I am also good with technology, so therefore I'm going to help the church out to be sure that the videos work, right? You can tell how much attention he's paying.
So sorry.
That's all right. If I'm going to pick on anybody, it's going to be you.
That's all right.
It's easy. All right, and those talents. So we kind of have two calls, the calls for our behavior, and then each of us with our special gift. And so what I'd like to do is we'll get into the gifts, each of you individually, or add your own, and we can add them. But I also want you to take a quick look at this in terms of, okay, these are behaviors that earn trust. That yes, in the business world, somebody spent years, Stephen M.R. Covey, I've talked to him at length about it. I haven't talked to him in a while, but I got to know him pretty well. And you say, okay, these are the things that we need to do simply every day to live in that righteous world. These are actual behaviors. And it would be talk straight. Talking straight to you. I need to tell you what you need to hear, not what's comfortable for me to say. If I'm loyal to you and I love you, then I need to tell you what you need to hear. Has anyone discovered sometimes telling someone what they need to hear is really not very easy? It's tough. All right? I forgot to put the picture in my slide deck, but can you imagine with a beard like mine or Cooper's what we look like after a puka dog? You got orange mango hanging down here.
Your beard's already orange.
That's for later.
That's for later. But you may have this. Who would be comfortable going up to say, sir, excuse me, but I don't know if you know this, but you've got a whole nother meal in your beard over there. You need to do it. All right.
He does that to me all the time.
Okay, so we got one. But for some people, it's very comfortable. For others, this is a hard thing to do, to go to a stranger where you say, hey, hold on, stop your car. Your seatbelt or your coat is sticking out from under the car door. Some of that's pretty easy. Some of it is hard. When you go to number 11, listen first. All right? Like I said, any of us ever engaged mouth before brain? All right, righting wrongs. As I said, if I do something and I do a transgression against, is it Lori?
Lauren.
Lauren, close. For a guy who forgets everybody.
Laura's my nickname, but yeah.
What?
Laura's the name.
Okay. Lori or Lauren, either one. So if I were to call up and go, Ruby, it's so great to get to know you. You go, well, my name's not Ruby. All right? So I need to apologize for that and really get that it's not one of those. And if we go with the great philosopher Mary Poppins, I took a concept from her. You like the philosopher Mary Poppins?
Yes.
She created what I thought was the great idea, but it's also, she created what she called the pie crust promise. Easily made, easily broken. How about the pie crust apology? Easily made, easily broken. How many times have you seen the scene, particularly with little boys? I know, I was one once. Say, I'm sorry to your brother. I'm sorry. How long is it before the little brother whacks the big one again? I don't know, seconds, get out a stopwatch. You know, so when you right a wrong, you do it sincerely, you do it honestly, and you don't carry the rock, and you get the peace that God has his intention for it. If we are not loyal to that love for others, and we let our pride, our lack of humility, our self-sense of importance get in the way, then we pick up a rock, we put the rock in our pocket, and we have now taken part of the peace out of our own heart. And who did that to ourselves? Us. So later on in the program, and I gave these out now so you can kind of think about them, because some of these you're going to look at and go, oh, I'm good at that. Oh yeah, I don't have to worry about that. There's probably going to be a couple on here that you look at and go, as we discuss them in depth in a couple of days, yeah, that's kind of hard for me. Those are the things we put on our list to work on. And it will be different, probably different for everyone in here. I can tell you from my first mission statement in 1989 through today, I have been working on humility. And 1989 through today is 34 years. Humility is still on my list. You know, you don't have to be the teacher, you don't have to lead the parade, you don't have to have the answer to everything. And 34 years later, I'm still working on it. I'm better at it. But these are the lifelong processes that give you the peace of heart, the joy in the world, feeling the love of others by getting the barriers out of the way, by eliminating the behaviors that put them right back up again. So I think I swiped that from you, or is that in my spare? And so in our little overlap, I'm going to plant that with you guys to think about. Because if you think about what God says for us to do, here's his end game. We should live with joy, hope in his light. We need to overcome our pride, our anger, lust, gossip, greed, all the different things that get in the way. And how do we do that? Well, we do that through living in righteousness, by having kindness, by extending that love to others. Well, what are the actual things that means day to day? It means we have to have behaviors and habits that fit. And like I said in the beginning, anyone who says changing a habit is easy has never actually tried to change one. And so for those of us, and I say I'm better at with age, who sometimes engage mouth before brain, or try to answer somebody before they're actually finished speaking, that's really not the proper way to engage with someone, to earn trust, to really understand where they're coming from. And so this becomes a starting point of many things we look at for our behaviors. But can we think of some of our gifts? And I'd like you to feel good. Every one of you has a gift, besides handwriting. All right? Can you think of some of the things that you feel that, yeah, this is where I can make my difference? And don't be afraid to share it. This isn't a moment. We already know we got our tech nerd, nerdier than me in the back. And that says something.
Intercession.
Yeah. What?
Intercession.
Intercession.
Praying for others.
You can pray for others. All right? So we have prayer machine right here. My wife's a prayer machine. I'm going to try to figure out a way. She's legally blind, so doesn't drive. So I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to get here for lunch, but I might just have to drive back and go get her because I think you guys would like to meet her. All right, but yeah, so we have a prayer machine. Does any good faith-based organization get by without someone leading intercessory prayers? No. So you would be an integral part as part of the prayer machine, which means also probably you're a good listener. Because you have to hear, well, if you're going to pray for someone, you really need to help to understand what they really need.
Really good at failing forward.
Failing forward.
That's right.
Okay, so you are someone who willfully admits that your absolutely best lessons in life come from your failures.
I feel like that's the only true way to learn.
Actually, that is an amazing truth. You never learn from success. You will learn your lessons in life from either the failures or disasters that are around you. Either you bring it upon yourself, it's thrust upon you, or it happens to someone you love. That's how you learn your lessons. That's where that toughness comes from. So if we flip this thing over here, and we think about the steadfastness and the endurance that comes from a trial, well, a failure is depending on its size, is a subset of an internal trial. Man, I messed that up. How do I not do that again? That is the best lesson you're going to have. Okay, so we've got one prayer machine, intercessor. No one else feels they have a gift? Something you feel called to do? Yes, ma'am. What? Serving. So you feel strong that you can be there in the service of others, giving your time, talent, treasure, whatever piece of you can give. Integral part of any faith group is going to be the outreach to others. Bring people in, serve those in needs, and bring them to the light. So we have someone in service. Don't be afraid. This is not a bashful thing. I'm not trying to put anybody on the spot or keep anybody awake.
Nick is a great teacher.
What?
Nick is a great teacher.
All right, so we have a great teacher. All right, well, I'll stop picking on you guys since I think I've pushed your comfort zone on reaching out for yourself. You will find in your life you will get called. It may be subtle, but you'll be in a group, and all of a sudden you'll feel like this is where I can really make my difference. And whether it's in your church with the little kids, or doing the lighting and the technology, or it's running the outreach services, or it's meeting the people in the back of the church. When you say at the end of service, those who need prayer, please meet our prayer teams in the back. All of you will feel that. And when you do, you want to lean into it, nurture it, because that is God's gift. Every one of us has one of those gifts.
Or more.
What?
Or more.
Or more, at least one. But we all have something that is a gift. And if you don't feel you've seen it yet, don't worry about it, because there's God time and our time. We have the illusion we can control what's going on. We don't. The only thing we have any kind of semblance of control over is our own feeling inside ourselves. And I'm not getting in that whole argument about where control starts and stops. That's, that's a rabbit trail that goes from here to Alaska. But, that's the only thing the only person I can depend on to give me peace in the day is me. I can't expect you to do it. You can pray for me to rid myself of the burden so I may have it. But if I put those burdens on myself, there's only one person who owns that, and that's me. So let us take a break. If we can, let's take a 10-15 minute break and start a little bit after 11.